Hello, my name is Josh Pugh, and I will be covering Chapter 15, Video Games from the Textbook. And I want to give a shout out to all the other presenters, and I hope to continue on y'all's track because y'all been doing such a great job. Next slide, please. Introduction. Why are video games important? Basically, it comes down to money, the amount of users, and the growth we have seen over the years. In 2015, in the U.S. alone, it was a $23.5 billion revenue, and in around the world, it was closer to 90 billion. So it's just a huge amount of money that are coming in just through video games, and it's in 72% of American households alone, and that growth in numbers have increased each year. So it's a very popular and invading the market and finding different types of users each year. And what people might not understand is that it rivals even the cinematic industry and the book industry. According to the textbook in 2013, Call of Duty Black Ops, which is a first-person military-based video game, it exceeded the sales in both the Avengers and the Harry Potter book series, which was the highest grossing at that time for books and movies, and the video game Black Ops exceeded that. So that just gives you an idea of how penetrating this video game market can be. Next slide. The background, just a quick description and categories to give you all an overview of what video games are. There are four types of video games. There's computer games, industry or arcade games, portable games, basically played on your smartphone. Further back, it was through Game Boy and DS and PSP, and also console games, which is the more, when you think of video games, that's what you think of, Xbox One, PS4, but it actually branches a huge other markets such as your smartphone, computers, and of course consoles. In the video game, systems include some sort of display or screen, gamer software, microprocessor, and input device, which is your mouse and keyboard if you're on a computer, or an actual controller if you're on a console. There are a multitude of genres, and just to name a few that are the most popular are some sports, space exploration, military, history, adventure. I can go on and on. Basically, if a user has a niche or a passion in a specific subject, there's a video game made for you, and that's what the video game industry has been so popular and seen so much growth over the years, is because of the many different genres and types of games. Next slide. The history, development, and design. In the 1970s is when we first saw the breakthrough of video games and what it could be in the future. If you ever heard of Atari's Pong, it was a very basic game, much like a tennis game, where you would have two pads and you would hit a ball back and forth, and each user would go up and down on their controller trying to hit the Pong by the person, and you would get a point if you did that. And that was one of the first and biggest selling games at that time, and it was the most popular. And then there was arcade and industry-based games such as Pac-Man, Defender, Missile Command, Galaga, and this is where kids and even adults would go in to the arcade and play different industry-based games such as these. In 1987, Nintendo Entertainment System first broke through with their console, which was the best-selling toy in 1987. It was a very, very popular. It had an A and a B button and a movement D-pad, and you could take out different type of games and insert others. And before that, you would just have the box or the Atari, and you couldn't take out and move different type of games as easily as it could through this Nintendo Entertainment System. And that's when the character Mario was created by Nintendo, and it's just grown after that. I call the golden age of video games in the 90s, where you really could see the future of what it could be. And this came with the creation of a portable platform Game Boy by Nintendo, and also the creation of the big threes, which was the Nintendo 64, the Microsoft Xbox, and the Sony's PlayStation. These three have remained the biggest contributors to console platforms, and kind of over the past 2 decades have battled over hardware upgrades and graphic development. So basically, through your technology of your screens developing and the different content you had through your graphics, the big three responded with their type of video games, and now it has come to PS4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Wii are some of the newest console games that have stayed true to the technology and just a wide range of developments. Next slide. Going from top left, that's the Atari game I was talking about, the tennis-based game where you'd send the Pong back and forth and try to get it by your opponent. Then there was, of course, Donkey Kong. We're introduced the Mario character, Pac-Man. Bottom left, which is Madden NFL, which plays NFL real-life players. Halo, which was a space military game and it's very, very popular among Xbox users. And PlayStation came up with Crash Bandicoot, which was kind of their version of Mario. It was an adventure seeker, and it was a very popular game. Next slide. History continued. The development and design. To this very day, the big three have a lot of different games, but they've also supported the basics of network gaming, high-speed data access, online accounts, multiplayer gaming, download content onto their hardware. They've all stayed true to the technology and have used it and upgraded over the years. And because of these high-speed data networks, it gave birth to massive multiplayer online role-playing games such as World of Warcraft, Sims, Minecraft. And you had a online character where you could develop over rewards and different feats through the game that you would get, and you would develop your character and become more skilled and powerful in the game. So you could build your own house and home and community basically with games such as Sims and World of Warcraft, which is over millions of users and come out with actually a movie over these past few months. It kind of has a hero a role-playing game where you become a character and you go around these different realms, and it's been very, very popular. But in 2006, Nintendo Wii kind of targeted a new audience. Before, people would downplay video games as something that what a couch potato would do and something that would make your mind mush. But Nintendo said, we're going to target that audience, and we're going to make motion-sensitive remotes that combine physical activity with the playing of video games. And it became very, very popular because you can now, through your movement and motions, control your character on your screen, and just through the physical activity of the remote, be successful in the game. I know I loved playing Wii Sports, and my mom even got connected to it because she loved to get any kind of exercise. So playing tennis and baseball really sunk into her, and Nintendo did a great job of targeting a new audience. Next slide, please. There's basically 5 generations of gaming. The early years, which is the rise of the consoles such as Atari, Nintendo, and different things. The computer games, which came really out of Apple Macintosh, and the point-and-click mouse gave birth to that type of video games that are used today. Portable gaming, which started with Game Boy and different things like that, and now what we consider portable gaming is mobile phones. And the console wars, which was the Xbox and the PlayStation, different type of platforms such as those, and the pervasive online gaming, which is the networks. You can play now over networks. Before, you would have to have your friend next to you in the same room playing, but now through online networks and high-speed data, you can play across the world someone in a game that you enjoy, and it's just a very, very cool technological development for video games, which have made it grow even more popular. Next slide. Recent developments. Now, what I consider the console's biggest benefit is that it's basically a catch-all for your media experience through streaming, downloading of movies, streaming of Netflix, and through different app stores. On just the console alone, you can basically find any type of media experience you want through your console. And they also have a built-in DVD and Blu-ray player in the newer models, and it's just kind of a morph, and everything you would need in a entertainment system can be found in your console. So that's made it very, very popular. I know for me, I have an Xbox One right over there, and I use it to stream Netflix, play video games, and you can either link it up to your TV to push a button, and you can switch between TV and video game playing just by a push of the button, and nothing would be affected on either one. Also, social gaming through social networks. I know y'all are annoyed by those notifications why people wanting you to play Candy Crush Saga, but it's probably still going to happen. And these games were created through smartphones and through social networks such as Farmville, Candy Crush, and Word with Friends. And it's been very popular because it linked your friends from your social networks to games that you can play and challenge each other with. And it was very, very popular. It doesn't last very long. The games is very, very popular for a short amount of time, but then they go on to the newest and next. But it's still a very wide range market that a lot of people still play to this day. Game designers have used this newest technology by cameras, GPS locators, web connections to create immersive reality. This textbook didn't know this, but what they were talking about is the newest fad, Pokemon Go, which uses the picture, the camera on your phone, and the GPS to catch Pokemon characters wherever you are walking around. You can see them through your camera. And creates that immersive reality and really creating nostalgia for 90s kids who grew up on Pokemon, grew up watching it, and that's kind of the audience they targeted. And it was a huge, huge success, and Nintendo's stock has raised tremendously after Pokemon Go released, and it's all because of these video games. Next slide. Current status. Gamer parents. I guess that's me. I'm 24 years old, but basically gamer parents are those who grew up playing video games during its developing stages. The average game player is actually 30 years old, which kind of downplays the belief that only little kids play video games. It's only for younger kids, but actually the average age is 30, and it can go all the way from senior citizens to little kids. So that's why the market is so large and makes it so profitable. And because it ranges from 60 all the way to young kids, there have been laws trying to limit the access, but it has not been successful to hold up in judicial court yet because they say it invades free speech and First Amendment rights. And so right now, kids can still get games that are questionable content, mature content. So really, I guess the law can't really do anything about that. Next slide. Factors to watch. Now, the Oculus Rift. Those of you who don't know about this, it's crazy. It's basically goggles which has a display on it, and it makes you feel like you're in a location based on the display on the screen. It could have you in Hawaii, and based on your tilts of your head and looking around, you see different images like you're actually there. And this technology is just so crazy and it's become so popular. Actually, I saw today on a commercial Samsung advertising through Oculus Rift that you put your phone there and you can use that type of technology. And video game users, it came from video game users. And websites such as Kickstarters to crowdfund game designs, that's how Oculus Rift was actually developed, was through crowdfunding. Apple's iPhone and tablets is the biggest mobile portable platform gaming marketplace, just because everyone has a smartphone, and if you can have video games in what's something that everyone has, it's going to be popular and people are going to want to play it. Also, there's been growth in women gamers, which actually accounts, according to the textbook, 45% of the video game market is women, and that is continuing to grow. And of course, U.S. military interest. Whenever it comes to new technology and the newest stuff, the military has to get a hold of it, and they actually want to use it through training and tactical exercises. I'm assuming they'll use the Oculus Rift for the same thing, to put on and just train on how to operate. And also, if you think about drone users, they use an input device much like a video game, a joystick and buttons. So maybe it's not a video game, but the use of drones, that technology came from video games. So it just gives you a better idea of how the U.S. military is very interested in these developments. And also another factor to watch is the big three of Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation. In the near future, they're going to develop cross-platform online gaming. And in layman terms, that is PlayStation Network and Xbox Live Microsoft Network can play each other in the same game. So if the same Madden NFL game, you could play cross platforms, as opposed to before you could only play Xbox users or PlayStation users. Now you can do cross platform. Also, video conferencing capabilities for these digital systems, because of the cameras and the sound technology. You can now almost have a boardroom meeting, and what they're going to do is use this. Is very popular through like poker or different things where you can have the face and the voice, and you can actually, like, you're around the table playing poker through this video conference capability. So it's very popular. Next slide. Discussion board questions. Now, these are questions for y'all. I don't know what level of video gaming y'all enjoy, but here are the questions that I'd like y'all to answer for, and I'd love to read about it. Question number 1. What type of video game platform most resonates with you as a gamer, and what game do you play the most? And number 2, what factor to watch is the most interesting to you and why? Technology continues to grow, and it's just very interesting how video game is going to take that technology and to the next level. Thank y'all for watching, and I appreciate y'all's comments, and God bless.